Ever wondered how code written on your laptop actually becomes an app the whole world can use? Hi, I'm Abaka, and this is day one of my DevOps journey. Over the next few weeks, I'll be sharing everything I've learned. So if you're curious about DevOps, you can follow along and grow with me. In my first class, we started with a big picture how software actually moves. It begins inside an IDE like VS Code as shown in the step one. From here, it gets pushed into Git, then stored in GitHub. Git in the sense that the Git you have installed in your computer, then also GitHub, the one on the internet. After that, it gets deployed either on the cloud like AWS or Microsoft Azure or any other cloud platform or a remote server such as VirtualBox as shown in step 3. And finally, that's how it becomes accessible to the end user on the internet, which is the final step. We also refreshed on some web basics. I played with HTML. I played with a simple HTML file, adding colors, button, and even JavaScript alert. So this is the HTML file, let's say display.html. I added a button. This is the button element, and also a script to alert the user if you click the button. So let me display it on the Google Chrome. So here is it, the output. So once I click on the button, it pops out button was clicked. I learned about live server on VS Code. So once we go back to live server, and once we go back to VS Code, to get live server, you click on the extension here. Then from the extension, you look for live, click on live server. You type live, search for live server, then click on this one. Then on this live server, you click on install. Me, I've already have it installed on my system, which lets me instantly preview my changes. So with the idea of live server, I'll have this icon down here, which shows I can click on go live or um, end port. Click on go live or end live server. But here is the catch: localhost only works on my machine. Unless I deploy it, no one else will be able to see what I've built. Then we broke down a website URL. A URL is made up of protocol, subdomain, domain, and top-level domain. So on this simple website I created, this is the URL. So let me copy this URL and paste it in a Word document so we can break it down. So for the Word document, this HTTP here, it's the protocol. The 127.0.01 here, it's my local IP, also known as my local host. Then 5500 is my post number, and this here it's my endpoint. I also got introduced to Killacoda, this online playground that lets you run on free 1 hour environment. Inside it, we use Nano to create and save the HTML files, the one he did on his own computer, and serve them through a web server. So created the then that's when I saw it work on my PC, which showed me that it actually means to serve a file through a web server. So if I'm not deploying it through the cloud platform, I could also use a web server using this method to test a web server using this Killacoda playground. And we also touched on NGINX, which can turn a computer into a web server to handle traffics and ports. That's NGINX is a software that turns a computer into a web server to handle traffic and ports. And the one will dive deeper when we get to Linux. So he said so. Here is the Killacoda playground I was talking about. So this is the console where I type my code. So everything I'm talking about in regards to Killacoda so far. Now, what is DevOps? It stands for development. It's an acronym for development and operations. But more than tools, it's really a set of principles and practices. So DevOps can be defined as a set of principles and practices used to deliver softwares quickly and efficiently. So the key takeaway he said here is to from my tutor is that I should focus more on the concepts and principles first. That tools will always come and go, but the principles still remains the same. Why DevOps matters? Traditionally, developers and operations teams were separate. Developers wrote, built, and tested code, while operations team deployed, monitored, and provided feedback. So DevOps came to unify that process with things like continuous integration, continuous delivery or continuous deployment, continuous monitoring, etc. Teams can now move faster and collaborate better. At its heart, DevOps is really about automation and collaboration. In regards to DevOps roles in a company, I also learned that DevOps engineers don't always have the same job title. Depending on the company, you might hear DevOps engineer, pipeline engineer, platform engineer, or even site reliability engineer, also known as SRE. So that's day one of my DevOps journey. My biggest lesson I've learned so far in this day one is DevOps is less about tools and more about mindset and principles because tools come and go, but the mindset and principles always stay the same. I'll be sharing my progress as I go. So if you want to learn DevOps alongside me, follow along. See you in day two. Thank you.